Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Laura Aural. I'm a psychic medium and medical intuitive, and it is Friday night. I'm a bit of a night owl tonight. It's about 11 p.m., 10:55, to be exact. And I've decided to attempt the readings tonight, see how we go. There are quite a few questions here. There are about 34 questions. I'll see how I'm able to go. I may have to break it up into two. But I normally don't read through the questions beforehand, or I might just have a quick skizzy. But today I actually read through some of the questions, and I just wanted to be a little bit more prepared for some of the responses. Excuse me, could be that's late. My voice is going. So as you know, a lot's been happening around our world, our beautiful world, and with the United States and Israel, with Operation Epic Fury, where they started bombing Iran, and they've taken out a lot of the leaders there in Iran, and there's a bit of chaos happening in the Middle East. It seems like it's a deliberate chaos from what it seems to be, where with Iran just attacking neighboring countries. My gut feeling on that was, honestly, Iran is not, not on its own. I feel they've got support of China and Russia behind them, and it appears that they do have a lot of weaponry, and I feel the chaos is probably to maybe deplete the resources of the allied nations and keep the war prolonging. And even though President Trump and his administration, there seems to be support for what he's doing, my feeling is the objective is to create something long going where that people can start to turn against the administration and start to protest what they're doing. Even though there are some mild protests, generally there's a lot of support for what they're doing. And the countries who weren't supporting, the allied countries who weren't supporting the US, such as the UK and Spain, who weren't allowing, didn't want to give the US permission to actually use the military bases in those countries. They're kind of relenting because they're seeing that they're being dragged into it. And also too, Trump threatened to cut off all trade with Spain, and there were people within the government of Spain standing up and basically saying Sanchez doesn't speak for all the people of Spain. That he did, after a couple of days, bend the knee as well. And yeah, my feelings, I'll be doing a video on this, a video slide, but my feelings, honestly, is the objective is to get it done hard and fast. But I feel the workings behind the scene is to try to prolong it and continue to cause a bit of chaos. And even though it seems to be under control from the perspective of the US with their mission, together with Israel and together with some of the neighboring countries who are actually fighting back against Israel as well. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see what comes up when I do my slides. But I thought I might start with that. And I think a couple of the questions may be relating to this, and I may be a little bit late in responding because some of the things have already sort of unfolded, and it's not really my intuition. I think it's just fact of what's happening out there. But I'll see how I go, see if I can get through all the questions tonight, or maybe break it up into part one and part two. So let's get started. Let's go. I might get a bit cuckoo because it's getting a bit late, but I just felt a little maybe compelled to sort of do it at this time. Or not compelled, but just sort of, yeah, a strong feeling to do it and see how I go. Okay, starting with the first question from Naomi. Will Agenda 2030 succeed? Will Western countries live with a digital prison surveillance state, or will Agenda 2030 fail in its aim? Thank you very much for the opportunity. You're welcome, Naomi. I actually feel the Agenda 2030, which used to be called Agenda 21, I think, wasn't it? Oh, no, is that Network 21? Um, Probably need to cut that bit out. But I actually feel Agenda 2030 is actually already beginning to fail. That things are starting to break down, but you can see with what's happening with Iran and with these nations who are kind of trying to cause chaos or dissenting, and also um, the opposing party in the United States, who is so opposed to everything that Donald Trump does, basically, that they're prepared for chaos to happen, all in the name of probably bringing down Trump. I feel that that really is an agenda behind it as well. I feel that that is backfiring and that is failing. But in saying that, I did predict that it's a volatile period between 2026, 2028, 2030, even some places to 2032. I feel there's going to be instability at different levels. I don't feel like there's going to be an all-out World War III. I feel like it's going to be contained, but there are going to be things that will try to affect different countries, like a potential outbreak or trying to shut down things or introduce policies that, like the surveillance. So even though these things are happening, I feel eventually it will fail. Um, I read recently that the government here in Australia has approved for facial recognition in places such as like Bunnings or Woolworths or something, under the guise of it's there to sort of thwart theft. Um, but really, my gut feeling is they're trying to push through laws, um, and get laws passed, um, almost like in back rooms, hidden from the public, very little consultation with the public or with, yeah, um, yeah. So to answer your question, I feel that the Agenda 2030 will not succeed. I do believe it will fail, but it's not going to fail overnight. I feel as more opposing parties that are opposing this agenda and the implementation of this agenda, when the opposing parties actually do eventually get voted in, there will be reversals, there will be changes. And so the 2030 to me is significant because I don't see any changes really happening. I feel some countries like Australia will be ramping up things up until that point. They're trying very hard to keep one nation out of parliament. Is my cat. Come on, buddy, come on inside. To keep one nation out of parliament. So she's not there to be part of the votes. Oh my goodness, he's about to jump up. This is all I need at 11 o'clock at night. And so I do feel it will fail. I do feel it was. Hello, how are you? Okay. Hello. I hope he sits there and behaves himself. Okay. All right, behave yourself, buddy. Next question. To sleep. This is from Alberta. Will the Canadian Prime Minister fulfill his full term as Prime Minister, or will a snap election happen? And if so, will Canada finally get a change in government? I feel Canada will get a change in government, but I feel not before 2028. I don't feel there's going to be a snap election, and I don't feel it's going to happen before 2028. I feel what's happening needs to continue brewing. It's kind of just the energies, it just needs to sort of keep on building up and brewing for there to be some kind of build up to a fall of some sort. So I feel it's not going to happen before 2028. This is what I'm feeling right now. Okay. My goodness, I don't know if this is a sign that I have to stop reading and continue on tomorrow. Okay, next question from Matt. This is from Linking Atlas. Hello. Hey, Laura, UAE future in terms of jobs, business, and tech growth for the next 5 years. Will they be better countries than the UAE emerging in the Middle East? My goodness. I don't know if this is a sign. Okay. Finding it hard to concentrate, so I think this may be a sign to leave it tonight. Will the UAE future in terms of jobs, business, and tech is even lying on my pad? Oh, can you just move out of the way, buddy? All right, just stop. I kind of get brain dumps, and sometimes I just need to scribble. All right. And I should put this up as a blooper. If I redo it, I'm going to put it up as a blooper just so it can be seen what I have to go through. Okay. I still have a good feeling about the UAE, to be honest. I feel Saudi Arabia, in terms of tech growth, I'm just getting that the UAE is quite masterful at progression, evolution of ideas. So I still feel the UAE, even though they may have partially shut down their airspace and there's some bombings happening and there's disruptions happening, and it may be affecting the economy. I still do feel that it will still emerge as a strong place to do business, and I actually feel something will come out of the UAE. There's going to be some kind of collaboration. And it's something to do with technology. There's going to be some kind of collaboration with a couple of other nations around technology and advancement in some kind of technology. And I don't know if Elon Musk is doing some business there at the moment, but I feel like there's something that's going to expand in there. So I actually feel there's good opportunities for the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Not Qatar so much, but I feel Saudi Arabia. But I feel Saudi Arabia is going to have some disruptions, though. There's going to have disruptions even within within their citizens, like some kind of, I don't know if it's an uprising, but some kind of, yeah, disruptions that's going to happen within their country, with their citizens rising up and unhappy about protesting something. I actually feel UAE will be strong moving forward. Okay. Next question from Manifest Dreams. I'm actually recognizing these names from previous readings. So hello to everybody. Can Pierre become Canada's Prime Minister? Yes, he can. I feel he's smarter now. I couldn't see him before. I actually felt that it wasn't going to work before, but I feel like he's smartened up. I feel like he's kind of refocused, and I do feel like he's holding his cards close to his chest, and I feel like he's more thoughtful and he's thinking the ramification of things, and I feel like he's going to actually they're putting some things into place. I feel like they want to make some kind of move, force a hand of some sort. Um, I'm not sure in relation to what. I don't know if they're going to try to force an election of some sort or something like that. Um, and I know a lot of you who are writing are really wanting these changes to happen sooner rather than later. I can see there's a lot of movement happening. I can feel and see there's a lot of movement happening. I just feel the timing is not quite there yet. There's still going to be disruption. There's still the functioning machine behind it all is still holding on, and I feel Pierre and his group are actually becoming quite smart in how to deal with it and move forward, and they are becoming more strategic. Um, I feel he made some critical mistakes in the last election, and I think he played up to something that he shouldn't have played up to. He should have stuck to his guns on something. I feel like he's learned his lesson, but I feel it's not before 2028. I think that if that's your next federal election, um, what I might do is, because this is just a mini reading, so I might try expanding on, because I'm getting a lot of questions about Canada and about this. So maybe I can just do something brief on this and really go in it a little bit deeper. I hope that's answered your question for now. Okay, curiosity nudge. Hi, Laura. Um, I'm super impressed with your personal readings and couldn't resist adding additional comments on that same video. Thank you. You have revealed in words something I was seeing and understanding, but couldn't able to accept fully about the family. Okay. What's the future of North America and South America, including Central America, when it comes to living, work, tech industry, and even the place near future, avoiding geopolitical involvement in other regions? So North America being Canada, I suppose, and South America and Central America. I'm going to be doing video slides on that coming up, but I'm seeing a lot of changes. I'm actually seeing the Trump administration is doing something. They're changing the geopolitical map in how it functions, and where I really see a lot of changes and a lot of American influence expanding into those regions, and mainly because China had taken hold, and even Russia had taken hold in terms of the Belt and Road Initiative and so forth. But I actually feel that America is actually regaining that power and changing. There's going to be like a facelift in that whole region. And it's going to be very advantageous when it comes to economy in that region. Even though there will be, I feel like there will be regime changes. There already now looks like they're going to be like a friendly takeover of Cuba, what they're actually talking about. But it's not as a dictator, it's really to expand the influence of the United States, and diminish the growing power and influence of China, particularly China. I feel Russia is more punished, is not as strong, and I feel it's China who's actually taken more of a grip in these nations. And I feel that wanting to lessen the grip of China in industry and so forth. So there will be, I feel like there's going to be almost like a facelift to the whole region, and there's going to be different promises under the way this is going to be structured. It's going to be interesting to see it unfold. And I feel like these Central American and Latin and South American countries are actually going to welcome the changes. There will be some resistance somewhere, but the people will welcome what will be offered. So I see a lot of changes from now up until 2032 happening globally, and it does involve also North America, Central America, South America. So now my cat's got my pen. Hope that's answered your question. Let's go to the next question. Karachi Buzz. Hello, Laura. Thanks for your advice on my personal question. You're welcome. I would like to know what the future of Karachi City in general will be. Will it improve and become a better place for work and life? I just got no. And will it be just going down as it's been going down since the 80s? I feel Karachi, I want to be mindful what the words that are coming to my mouth and how I actually translate them. But I feel like there's lots of underdeveloped regions. I almost want to say the word slums. And I feel it won't be happening too quickly. I do feel, and I feel like there's going to be more weather events or events, that's going to affect the city. I feel like there are going to be fires. I feel like there are going to be landslides. I feel like there's going to be a lot's going to be happening. And I see people wanting to flee rather than stay. So at this point, that's my feeling, what I'm feeling right now. Hope that's helped to answer your question, but yeah, I would be looking at moving, and I'm getting moving for you. Moving north would be good for you. Moving far north would be good for you. Okay, next question. Susan Crook. Hi, Laura. Any predictions for New Zealand political economy? Thank you. Okay, Susan. I kind of feel with New Zealand, things have slowed down. It's almost like sleepy. Oh, the silly cat is grabbing my pen. I might come back to this question because I can't quite tune into that one right now. Just some come through stronger, and if I'm getting distracted, it's hard for me to hold it. So I'll come back to the ones that I'm not able to focus on, maybe do it towards the end. Andy, can you please tell us about the impending US attack on Iran and the outcome? Can you see what will be targeted? I think that was done 8 days ago, so a lot's actually come out about that so far, and I spoke a little bit about that at the beginning. Um, yeah, so I hope that what I said earlier answered your question, and I will be actually doing a video slide on that to sort of expand more on that. So I will keep going. Joyful fig. Okay. Oh, sorry. No, that's a response to something. Here we go. This is from at Millie H. Okay. Hello, Laura. This is my first time on your channel. Hello and welcome, Millie. In your previous video, you mentioned that David Eby will be re-elected as Premier of British Columbia. Will the people understand that he has a close connection to the Communist Party of China? I feel a lot of people already know, such as yourself. Although I wasn't aware of that, so just, yeah. Unless I brought it up before, I can't remember everything that I read. It's not mine to keep. It comes through, I speak, and when it needs to be recalled, it comes in. BC is having a massive deficit in the 2026 budget. BC, British Columbia. Got to kind of get my bearing. So when I tune in, okay. A rise in crime and drug addiction. The health system is collapsing. What can be done so that people can realise that he's ruining British Columbia? We feel defeated if this is the case, and lots of Canadians might leave the province due to the high cost of living. Let me just see. I can't remember British Columbia. Is that Vancouver? Let me just have a look. Okay, yeah, so because I was getting it to my left, so that's on left on the map. Yeah, I have picked that up. I recall that I have picked that up before. That I do see crime and drug. I do see homelessness as well in that region. I don't know when your next election is, whether it's part of the general election that the premiers would be re-elected for your province, or whether it's a separate state election, provincial election, if that's what they're called. But I do see, what have I said about him? Will be re-elected as, yeah, because I'm getting that feeling again. I feel like he will be re-elected, but he's not going to last. I feel like he will be ousted as well. He's going to be re-elected, and I feel, unfortunately, he's going to cause more damage. I feel like he just doesn't care, and he doesn't care if things are breaking down around him. I do feel he will be ousted or he will leave. I feel like there's a few people that are actually going to leave due to a number of reasons, either illness, either some kind of shame or some kind of problem with something, connection to something. I feel like it's crumbling around them, but they're still holding on to a bit of power, and that will continue on for a little bit longer. I am feeling that, yeah, 2028 seems to be when I'm noticing big changes happening. After that time, after 2028, it's kind of like you're going to need to weather the storm. But I feel things are going to be unfolding and more revealing, and as people start to wake up, because I feel people are very accepting, and in some of those regions, people are very accepting, and it's when they're really getting affected, when they're going to start to stand up and rise up against it. It's not quite there yet, but I do feel it will get to that point, and I feel like it may take an event to happen, some kind of unfortunate event possibly that may happen, that may cause a problem for him. I feel like it's going to be almost like California, where Gavin Newsom allowed California to just run into the ground and become ruined. with the fires and not allowing water into the state. It's now backfiring and backfiring big time. And even though he holds a lot of power, that power is diminishing. I feel the same is going to happen with David Eby and a lot of the other premiers who may be in similar, maybe similar to him in how they actually look after their states. I feel like there's going to be a major overhaul. It is coming, but I'm feeling like a couple of more years. I feel like there's going to be more unrest, more unsettled, more complaints, more damage, unfortunately. And I feel like they're going to be weather events. There's going to be some kind of weather event. Out you go. Out you go. I feel like there's going to be some kind of weather event that's going to hit Vancouver. I don't know. Just got distracted. Hang on. Not wind. I've kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah. If it comes back while I'm doing this, I'll address it again. But I hope that's answered your question. And I understand you're feeling defeated, and a lot of Canadians want to leave. I'm getting with you particularly. Sometimes it's better the devil you know. Because a bit of upheaval and moving as well could cause more disruption for you and some other people as well. You have to really know where you're going to, because I feel like there's going to be unrest in a lot of places. Sometimes it's better the devil you know and where you can make the most of. But there will be changes. But I feel like there will be some weather events. I feel like I'm seeing water and wind, and I'm seeing gushing water. I don't know, this might be a problem with Vancouver Island as well. I don't know, there might be some kind of storm or weather event that affects the island, whether there might be flooding around the shorelines or something, because it's quite a long island, isn't it? But yeah, hope this answered your question. And welcome. Thank you for watching. Miss G. Okay. Is Keir Starmer's Labor deliberately destroying the UK, and will they be stopped? Honestly, yeah, they are. And it's deliberate in terms of not because they're wanting to destroy it. It's almost like they're captured and they've got no choice but to. They've got no choice but to surrender to the people that they have to answer to, if that makes sense. I feel they've bent the knees and they're caving, and they're allowing it to happen. And he's not going to last. He's going to be ousted. And what I got with the UK is, I know there's a gentleman by the name of Lowe. I can't remember his first name. I saw some things about him, and I get a very good feeling about him, better than Nigel Farage, better than Robinson, that lad Robinson. I feel he's a bit too controversial for that role. I feel this gentleman, this MP, is really going to pick up traction. He's going to really, it's almost like a Pied Piper. There are going to be a lot of people who follow him, and he's really going to pick up traction. And it's already starting from what I see. People are now starting to stand up and fight back, and stand up against it. Keir Starmer, and they're in trouble. They're in trouble. They've created a problem for themselves. But what they've also done is they've caused enough damage that it's going to be a bit difficult to reverse some things. And so it's going to have to be very stern and strong leadership that comes in to make those changes. And I do see that happening. I see a lot of things being reversed and happening. But I also see a lot of disruption and heartache along the way. So I hope that's answered your question. Okay. EB7694. Will we see the back of the Victorian Labor Party at this year's state election? Yes. They have destroyed our economy. They certainly have. If I may ask another question, will federal Labor also be out at the next election? So many people are struggling, can no longer financially survive under Labor policy. So I had a feeling, and I think it came up in one of my earlier readings, I think it was during a Q&A, that I actually saw that Labor's going to lose by a landslide in Victoria, but I feel like they just may hang on at the next federal election, and I may have to do another Australia part 3, but that's the feeling that I've been getting. So if any of those feelings have changed, that's where I'm currently feeling still. And even though there's a movement, and even though One Nation has really picked up traction, and Pauline Hanson's been quite ambitious, and I've been saying this for some time, and now it's actually I'm starting to see it. I feel there will be enough, she may gain enough seats to influence policy at the next federal election, but I actually feel Labor may just squeeze their nose through. And I'm hoping that I'm wrong at this, so I might just try to do another reading where I do a longer reading and go a little bit deeper. But I do feel Victoria, the Labor government in Victoria will be going. Excuse me. My voice is a bit hoarse tonight. I just have a drink. Excuse me. This is from Kevin. Hi, can you see the future of Singapore in terms of its well-being and economy from 2026 to 2035? I just got Singapore is going to do super well. Singapore is going to do super well and is going to actually become more wealthy. But there's going to be some weather events that happen. I don't know if Singapore is prone to earthquakes. I don't get the feeling it is, but I feel like there's going to be some kind of rumbling. I don't know whether it's symbolic, because usually I see a symbolism of a quake, but I'm actually seeing movement. So maybe some kind of shockwave that goes through. I don't know if there's something happening in Parliament. There's some kind of shockwave that may happen through Parliament. So it could be symbolic, because I'm not getting the visual of what I usually see, the earthquake in the land. So it may be more symbolic, but I see something to do with policy or government and some kind of shock earthquake in terms of what happens with the government and movement in government. But I also see there's going to be some kind of rise in economy and wealth. Something I'm getting like explosions. So it could be the words that are coming to me are more symbolic rather than an actual weather event. Hope that's answered your question. But it seems positive for me. I'm getting 2032 will be especially good for Singapore. Especially good period of prosperity, 2032. I don't know if you've got an influx of immigrants or something coming through, but I feel that between now, 2026, 2028, maybe that's the shock in the government. I feel like there may be some influx of migrants coming through, and it may cause some kind of disruption. That could be the symbolism of what I'm seeing. But it may potentially backfire as well. So let's see where that goes. Okay, next question. Hi, Laura. What is happening with Ghana and its president ministers? Will the citizens stand up to the policies that favor terrorism and foreigners? Will there be war? I just got, yes, there may be potential. I see internal conflict. I do unfortunately see internal conflict. I hope I'm wrong, Sandra. I hope I'm wrong with this. I'm getting anarchy as well. Anarchy happening. I'm seeing internal conflict. I'm seeing that they're trying to make a shift. They're trying to push them out, but I'm seeing I don't know whether there's some kind of militia behind them that threatens, that's a stronghold there. But I do see a bit of an uprising happening, and the citizens will stand. And I do see the citizens will stand, and there will be some problems for them as well. Yeah, it could be an unrestful period there. Good luck with everything. I hope that's answered your question. And I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong with that. Um, Monkey C. Okay. Are all the e-files true that there are? So I've got to be careful how I word this. Um, flesh eating people. I'm trying to reword it. In high government position, is there truth to that? I just got yes, there definitely is. Is it intentional to dysregulate our nervous system to their benefit? I also got yes, it is. Will these people be held accountable? Not completely, not all of them, but it is starting to be exposed. They've been fighting this for a while. I feel Mel Gibson tried to expose some things as well as a few other people. Will the collective see justice? When will we see justice? Unfortunately, it's not going to be the justice that everyone's hoping to see. But I do feel there will be people who will be held accountable, mainly because they're high profile, perhaps, and made an example of. But I feel the people who are truly involved in that stuff are hidden figures. There may be a few hidden figures. It kind of makes me feel sick saying it. A few hidden figures that may be exposed, but I don't feel it will be to the degree that people are hoping. But yeah, I do feel there's a lot of truth to those rumors, to those what's said, what's in those files. Okay, another question by Monkey C. Will there be a snap election once the NDP name their leader in this year, and will Conservatives win? When Conservatives win, will Carney step down as Liberal leader? Okay, I don't know whether what I said before, because there was a couple of questions. There was also about crossing the floor. I just feel it's not going to happen now. It's really not going to happen now. So a snap election will happen. I just got there won't be a snap election. They may be trying to push for it, but there won't be a snap election. What I'm feeling right now, there may be people around Carney that may be ousted and stepping down, but Carney's not going to do it. I don't see Carney stepping down too quickly. I feel like he's just the right temperament to be there in that place, and they're going to try to keep him there as long as possible. But we'll see. We'll see how it is going forward. Okay, next question. Angela. Hi, Laura. Thank you very much for this. You're welcome, Angela. You've started before, you stated before that the EU would break apart. Can you give some insight in how this will happen? Will every country be on its own again, or will a small remnant of the EU remain? So I'm going to be doing something on the EU coming up, and it's going to be the second video that I do because the first one will be US, Israel, and Iran. And what I'm feeling right at this point is when I see parts of the EU collapsing, I see the stronghold that people like the president of the European Union, Ursula, whatever her name is from Brussels, the stronghold that these people had will begin collapsing. There will be countries, I felt it before and I feel it again. People like countries like Greece, and that may consider leaving. They may be the ones that initiate leaving. I do see some countries actually wanting to be independent from the EU, but I also see the EU reforming under a different image, if that makes sense. I do see am I recording? Yes. I do see the EU, it won't be completely dissolved and it won't be a remnant. There'll still be lots of countries who want to be part of the EU, but I feel there will be countries that break away or push for a whole. I see that there will be a face change there as well with the EU, but I do see that it's losing its power and what it had set out to do is breaking up. It's not going to be able to sustain that globalist agenda, what they've been pushing for. And things will begin backfiring on those warmongers that have been pushing the war in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, and so forth. That will actually start to backfire. But I don't see it completely breaking apart, no. But I'll go further into it on the next slide video that comes up. It should come up soon. Okay, next question from Joanna. Hi, hello, Laura. Why are so many people still sleeping and how to help them wake up with what is going on in the world? I'm from Montreal, Quebec, and can't believe how many young and old people are still living with false narrative and completely trust the government. I wish they will wake up soon. A lot of people are waking up, Joanna, and I agree. A lot of people are buying what's being said on mainstream media channels. If it's the elderly, they may not necessarily be following different news streams on the internet. They may be watching their main source of media that comes through, and they will buy what's being sold to them there. Whether it's propaganda or not, they're going to put faith in what they're being shown and told. And not all of it's lies, but not all of it is, it is slanted. It is slanted in a way to keep them, to keep them asleep, I'd say, or to keep them trusting perhaps. But the only way those shifts are going to occur, particularly for the young people, there's got to be enough discomfort. And unfortunately, a lot of people were sold by this democratic socialist idea that the government should give you, not realizing that with that, solely relying on the government and support, money has to come from somewhere. And you start wiping out the middle class, and you won't really have anyone to really fund, and you're not going to be always taxing the rich for that to happen. So there will be, almost like they're trying to implement this feudalistic system of the old ways where you've just got the elites and then you've just got impoverished people. There are people who are comfortable with the idea of just being supported, particularly the elderly people. But the younger people will start to wake up unless they're too comfortable with the idea that they are being supported by government and convinced with COVID and shutdown and working at home and not needing to go out and so forth, that it's okay. I do see some shifts, but I see a lot of people, will they wake up soon? The only way they're going to wake up is if it's uncomfortable for them. And it will either be through war, a collapse in the economy. And so it may not get that to that state in some places. So they may be like that for a while. But there are a lot of people waking up globally. There are a lot of people who are seeing things for what they are and coming forward and speaking and sharing as well. Thank you for your question. Okay, next question from Orion is me. Okay. Hi, Laura. Do you see Pierre, the Conservative Party in Canada, getting information on Mark Carney that's damning so that Carney has to resign? I feel like it's a well-known, best kept secret type of thing. I can't describe it like it's meant to be more secretive, but everybody understands or everybody knows, or everybody sees. So I don't feel that they're, so long as when they speak to the people who believe them, that they keep on believing what they're being told, I don't think it matters what information is getting out there on him. It's not going to be enough to be damning enough for him to actually resign. There are enough people who still support him, who are still staunch supporters of him and his administration, that they won't be swayed. So I don't see that there'll be and I already feel that it's out there and people are choosing not to believe it. And I'm gathering that it's corruption and that you're referring to, and any more damning evidence from that. I don't see that there will be any links with him specifically with Mr. E that will ruin him. No, but I feel in terms of corruption, it's a well-known secret. Everyone knows about it, and I don't think they're fazed by it. They keep on sprouting what they're sprouting, and people will still be supporting him. So I feel it's going to be the people who don't stand for it anymore. There'll be a movement, and at the moment, this movement's not strong enough to make a big shift, but it's getting there. It's getting there. It is big, and there'll be a big swell, but there'll be almost like, maybe that's the earthquake feeling that I'm getting to, but I feel like there's going to be kind of some shifts like that happening. Hope that's answered your question. Okay. Deborah Walton. Hello, please can you see Russia going to war with France and the UK? I just got Russia will not go to war. I actually feel the UK and France have been, and Brussels, the parts of the European Union have been the ones that have been agitating for war to deplete Russia. And their objective using, or not their objective as in the European Union, but the objective of whoever's supporting Iran, and I'm sure a lot of us know who that would be hoping for the similar thing, that it will drag on and become another Russia-Ukraine war. It won't for Iran. For Iran, and Trump's not going to allow that to happen. And the other countries aren't going to allow that to happen. But I feel what was happening with the European Union and Russia, particularly with France and the UK, they were needing to keep that alive because they were wanting to deplete Russia's resources. But what I'm feeling is, even though Trump is actually tightening the belt a little bit with Russia, I feel that He's very open to discussions with Russia. And I actually feel it's going to sound strange when I say it. I feel the way President Trump and his administration is wanting to work out the global political structure, I don't feel he's going to allow that unleashing on Russia because he doesn't want to see instability. He wants to do it through diplomacy and through economic might. And I feel that where France and the UK were wanting a drawn-out war, they're being forced to change their perspective because the way the US is pushing with their global tariffs, and that's how they're controlling how things are being done globally. And Trump will continue to do that. So no, I don't see Russia going to a full-out war, but I see through proxies there will be issues. Yeah, hope this answered your question. Okay, this is from Sun Moon. Will Soros, Gate, Trudeau, Carney, Zelensky, Starmer, Khan, NATO, WEF, who get the karma, or will they all avoid their comeuppance? It's a good question. Okay, I'm just going to. Soros will be investigated. That's already started. I think they're going to start to kind of do some kind of RICO investigation into Soros funding. And they're working, I feel they're working diligently at doing that. I feel Bill Gates has the potential to actually go to jail. There'll be something with Bill Gates. I feel Trudeau will be protected. I don't know why, but he's got some powerful people behind him. I feel Bill Gates, it will almost be like a sacrificial lamb, a bit almost like a Prince Harry. Carney, I just got untouchable for Carney. Zelensky, I see Zelensky. Yeah, I see there's Zelensky's going to have yeah, it's not going to be favorable for Zelensky. And I feel that there may be some kind of attempt on his life, which may be, I've predicted this before, and I feel his usefulness time is coming to a point, and I feel unfortunately that may come to an unfortunate end for him if it's the way that I'm seeing it. Starmer's going to be shamed, almost shamed into existence or out of existence, if that makes sense. Who's Khan? I'm not sure who Khan is. NATO, there's a shift in NATO. I feel the president of NATO is actually quite strong with the Trump administration, and I feel that there's been some shifts, and I feel it's more the European Union rather than NATO that has the issue. WEF is collapsing. It is collapsing. The WHO is going to be restructured. I don't know if it's going to sort of even be functional, but that's going to be the karma will be the deconstruction of what they've created, and there will be people who will be brought to account. Maybe not everyone that everyone would like to see, but there will be. But I feel the comeuppance will come in the form of a global wave, a global shift in the geopolitical structure and how things were being run for the last 20, 30 years. There's going to be a major shift occurring, but there's going to be a battle before that shift happens. Hope that's answered your question. It's kind of getting late. It's 5 to 12. How many more questions do I have? Okay. This is from Rex. Will there be a rapid increase in the number of refugees in Europe and Central Europe over the next few years? I just got yes and no. Like Spain has just given amnesty to 500,000 refugees. I feel that that's going to backfire on them. big time. I feel there will be some countries who will do that, and other countries will be closing their doors. I feel Germany is starting to close their doors. I feel France has really created a problem. I feel France may potentially collapse. I don't know, just something, I don't know if there's going to be something, I see civil unrest there. Um, how could this affect the real estate prices, for example, in the Czech Republic? I kind of feel the Czech Republic's a little protected. I don't know if it's in like a little sweet spot. It's not going to have a soaring economy, but I don't feel it's going to have an economical collapse or anything like that. I feel they'll be stable. The Czech Republic will be stable. Hope this answered your question. Another question from Rex. Will Central European states move into Russia? Russia's sphere of influence following global conflicts, or will they maintain their independence? Which is more likely to happen first, leaving the EU or leaving not? Okay, so one question at a time. Will Central European states move into Russia's sphere of influence following global conflicts? I feel like they've already begun to do that by bringing in a couple of other people into NATO who weren't, I think, Sweden or somebody. But it's not going to expand further than what it has. I feel the circle of influence is going to be, I feel like there's going to be some kind of negotiation. I see Trump and Putin having some kind of negotiation by doing perhaps some mining or introducing something. I feel when there's more stability in the region, I feel there are talks for them to come together for some partnership. So in terms of encroaching on their sphere of circle of influence, I feel it's going to be more in relation to collaboration and the economy rather than war and agitation and conflict. I feel like they've expanded enough and they won't be able to expand any further. And they still will be able to maintain their independence. I feel like there's going to be a new leader in Russia. Which is likely to happen first, leaving the EU or leaving NATO? Are you referring to who are you referring to leaving? Russia? Um, I'm not quite sure who you're referring to here. Central European states moving into Russia's sphere, which is more likely to happen first, leaving EU. I'm not quite sure who you're referring to here. I feel NATO's strong. NATO's really upping their game and strong. European Union needs a, a makeover, if if that makes sense. And so, if it's likely to happen, it will likely happen with the European Union first. But in terms of who's leaving, I'm not sure who you're referring to. Okay, Terry Olson. I remember the name from last time because I got mixed up saying the word Terry Olson. And it's because the names are all joined. So, and it's late at night. 1 minute to midnight. Doot, doot, doot. Okay. Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for doing this. Do you see the elite leaders of the government around the world all stepping down by the end of the year and a new government forming? Not by the end of the year. No, I do see the elitist leaders are starting to implode. People are starting to stand up against them. The more there is a groundswell happening, but if I can use this analogy, I'll use the analogy of cancer. When cancer gets into your cancer cells, your cancer cells get into your cells in your body. It likes to be fed. sugars and carbohydrate, things that feed it and keep it alive. And once you start to starve it, it does its best in hanging on and causing damage before it's able to be dissolved. So I feel it's something similar in terms of the elite that were the World Economic Forum, the globalist agenda, Agenda 2030, this global communist rising that was happening, that was happening, and it's been happening for some time, and it's just picked up traction, and people have become more aware of it now, and it's people becoming more aware of it that is actually putting the brakes on it, and there will be more people who will become aware of it. So they will be stepping away. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen by the end of the year. Some may begin to happen when things are being exposed, but others will be protected and others will try to keep things going. But I do see this happening over a period of the next few years. So up until 2026 to about 2032, I see 2032 will be a big shift. And in a positive way, But it will also depend on who wins the midterms in the US and who wins the 2028 election. If the current administration stays in power, it will keep on this path. And if they lose the midterms, they'll begin disrupting by impeachment and so forth. So you just have to keep on watching what's happening in America. I predict America's going to, I predict that the Republicans are going to win the midterms and win the next election. And yeah, I've said this before in one of my slides, and that's what I'm still feeling. It may change, but that's what I'm feeling currently. Hope that's answered your question. Okay, Phoenix Ash. Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for doing this. My question is, will my psychic abilities progress further? I'm feeling stuck. If you could please give me some advice, would greatly appreciate it. Phoenix, I appreciate your question, but I will say that this is a personal question and I've opened up for geopolitics. So I'm going to have to ask if you could please ask this the next time I open up for personal Q&As, and I'll move on to the next question. But thank you. It's a good question. So please ask it again at the next personal Q&A that comes up. So just keep an eye on the my little community there when I open it up for questions again. Okay, next question. Laura. We have Laura from the Netherlands. Hello, Laura from the Netherlands. Hi, Laura. Question for global predictions. Short intro to question. The Atlantic meridional overturning circulation is the main ocean current system in Atlantic Ocean. It is a component of Earth's ocean circulation system and plays an important role in the climate system. Yes, it does. Question, will the AMOC, which is the acronym, start to seriously weaken beyond a point of recovery in the next 100 years due to climate change? Thank you for your time, Laura. Laura from the Netherlands. It will. I feel like it will continue to shift. I feel like there's some kind of evolutionary change, that a cycle that it goes through, but I just feel like it's happening more rapidly than it normally does. Yeah, I do see it weakening. I know that there are climate alarmists that say that we could be heading into an ice age. I don't see that happening in the next 100 years. But I do see the system's changing. And I don't think it's going to be in our lifetime or the lifetime of our children or our direct ancestors. But I feel like there will be a change, but I don't feel it will be a permanent change beyond the point of recovery. I feel like it will be a cyclical change. It's just that it's happening more rapidly. I feel the biggest issue in terms of when you're talking about climate and the concerns about climate, for me, what I'm feeling personally, the biggest issue would be all the technology and the power density that we're actually um, implementing in our world. Increased power density, the need for more machinery and more satellites in our orbit and so forth. I feel like it's just going to be polluted. It's going to increase the power density um, in our Earth structure, and I feel that that can actually contribute to climate change more than the seasonal changes. But if you're talking about climate change in terms of the ozone layer and the damage to the ozone layer, um, I don't see it affecting the the generations, the close generations to us. But I'm more concerned more about all the technology that's being implemented and the damage that that potentially could do, the debris, the power density, and so forth. Hope this answered your question. But yeah, good question. This is from Christelle. Any specific earthquakes on the Pacific that people should be prepared for? I keep hearing about them, but so far not yet. And so I brought up a little map. My attention's coming to Solomon Islands. I don't know, it might be a little bit of a volcano eruption and maybe a bit of tremor, but nothing too eerie, too scary. I feel like Fiji, there may be some rising waters around Fiji. I feel like Samoa may be affected by some kind of earthquake. I feel like there'll be multiple eruptions on Hawaii, volcanic eruptions on Hawaii, that's going to cause a bit of seismic activity heading towards this. And I feel like Samoa may be affected, maybe moving waters towards Tahiti. I feel like there's going to be a tropical storm around Tonga. But what are you looking at? Specific earthquakes, North America, Asia. Yeah, I did. Okay. I did see something. Um, I did see something previously, and it's sort of vaguely coming to me that between Asia and North America, I do see that there will be some kind of seismic activity that will affect North America, and I don't know whether Japan's going to be affected by it, but I do see something happening there. Um, I feel San Francisco is going to have a big quake. I feel Philippines may get a remnants of it, some shaking. Yeah, I feel like there's going to be another big quake in Japan. I know that Japan is very prone to it. But yeah, I see something happening in the Pacific, in the actual ocean itself. I see some shifts happening there. I'm just having a look at something called Tuvalu. Not there. Yeah, around Tuvalu, Samoa, I see something, some kind of waves coming in, some rising waters there. So I do see an earthquake between 26 and 28, possibly happening. And yeah, and I do see multiple eruptions, volcanic eruptions. Hawaii, I do see Philippines. I feel Philippines may have an earthquake. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. Okay, thank you, Christelle. Hope that's answered your question. Let's move on. This is from What's Up CV. Okay, my question, if somebody gets Cape Verde citizenship, will it be useful for the future? Is the world getting more multipolar or unipolar in the future? Is Cape Verde a better citizen option than any of the other countries in Asia, Africa, and Europe, if compared safety and less eyes by the global authority? Interesting. So, unipolarity. So, it's pretty much where one dominant superpower is leading, and that kind of happened post World War, where United States has sort of stepped up. And so prior to World War II, you had more like the multipolarity countries where I don't see equal powers amongst nations. I feel like it's going to continue on with a unipolar type of format in the future, and that's what the United States is setting up to do, to maintain that strength economically, militarily, space, um, and um, I feel they're going to be expanding their power and moving into places and negotiating and collaborating with countries that normally weren't considered or even looked at previously. So I really do see them expanding almost in the form of like what the British did and the Commonwealth. I feel that that's what they're going to be doing. And it would probably be a safer world for us if that were to maintain. Because if we had the three superpowers, Russia, China, and the US being equal, they're always going to want to wipe out the US first. So I don't see that the current administration is looking at keeping and maintaining that place in history for them. I hope that's answered your question. But in terms of other countries, Cape Verde, okay. If somebody gets Cape Verde citizenship, will it be useful for the future? I got yes. I got yes for Cape Verde because I feel like Cape Verde wants to introduce some kind of new scheme, um, something to do with technology. I do see it has a potential for growth. I feel like they're actually looking at growing economically and I feel like they're opening their door and wanting to screen the types of people that they're bringing in. They're wanting to bring in people who can afford to live there, who can contribute there, um, and work there. And I feel like they're kind of opening their doors to that. And I feel like there's something to do with technology that's kind of opening up for them, or something around technology that will begin to open up for them. Um, I feel like Cape Verde would be a good place for you. Yeah. Okay, next question. This is from Sweet Fairyish. Will flights to the UAE resume normal operations soon? I think because you may have posted this 3 days ago, I feel like the UAE has already partially opened up some of their airspaces, but some of the main travel is not happening. Some of the main airlines may still not be um, working or flying in and out of the country because of what's happening at the moment with Iran and the bombing. Um, it won't go on for much longer. They're going to attempt to, but I feel like it's going to be squashed a bit sooner. Um, yeah, hope this answered your question. Okay, what's up, Qatar? Hi, Laura, glad to see you again. Question: with the current situation happening in and around Qatar, what is the future of Qatar as an economy and a place to do business and possibly spending life as an expat in Qatar? I see Qatar, of all places, to be quite vulnerable at the moment, more so than the UAE, even though that's happening in the UAE. And I feel like they're really trying to disrupt, or is Qatar part of the UAE? I'm not quite sure, but no. Let me quickly have a look. No, okay, they're not part of the UAE. All right. They're neighboring regions on the Arabian Peninsula. Um, okay, but they're close by. Yeah, I can see that. I just got that Qatar may have a financial crisis heading their way. So, if you're planning on doing something, yeah, give a bit of caution around Qatar. I feel like there's going to be more unrest with Qatar as well. I feel like they're going to be targeted. I feel like there may be terrorist activities happening with Qatar as well. Um, Bombings and those type of things, internal bombings and so forth. Yeah. Okay. Hope this answered your question. Um, what have we got here? Okay. This is from Phase RB. Okay. Seems like the regime changes are usually the countries not connected to the World Bank, the BIS, the IMF, the DTCC. Are China and Russia controlled by the world banking system? Or do they just have the same agenda as them or something else? So normally I don't read the questions beforehand, but I did read these questions. And so I looked up the acronyms BIS, IMF, and DTCC. And the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, known as the central banks. And China is a full member of the People's Bank of China, and Russia's membership was suspended. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, it's an organization of 191 countries, works to foster global monetary operation and secure financial stability for international trade. China is a full member and Russia remains a member, though it's not hosted. Okay. And the DTCC, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, neither Russia nor China are members. So if I look at that and I come back to your question, seems like the regime changes are usually the countries that are not to the World Bank. And are Russia and China controlled by the world banking system? Sort of. I think that's why they were probably trying to bring in their BRICS system, their Brazil, Russia, India, and who was can't remember who it was. China, yeah. So, but I feel that that's not able to take off. So in a way, they are sort of controlled by it. Um, but they do have the same agenda, if that makes sense. Because when I looked up, these banks were actually formed, I think, by by the United States or something like that. So it's the United States trying to maintain global power and US currency, and the introduction of the BRICS was to actually usurp that and become maybe the main currency, the main international currency, which is basically failing. They're not able to do that because it seems like the current administration in the US has outfoxed them a little bit. So they may be controlled in some ways, where they're able to seize the assets of Russia, and so forth. But if they could do the same, they would. And they do have the same agenda, it just hasn't worked for them. So you've got to ask yourself, are you preferring US to be the main people behind it, or China and Russia? So I hope this answered your question. But good question, thank you. Oh, okay, you've got another question. Faze, okay. Someone said an insider told him that behind the scenes they already decided to create 3 superstates, US, Russia, and China. Any truth to that? No. As it would make some sense that these conflicts are asserting dominance for these 3 superpowers in their respective regions. I don't see, that would be more of a, if we go back to what I talked before, let's have a look. Where was it? Multipolar versus unipolar. I see that currently it's unipolar, being the United States, which was post World War II, where they came into power. You've got global currency in the US dollars and so forth. And multipolar, where you're going to have, certain countries kind of each be in power. I don't see that happening, and purely because I feel that they will try to wipe, because which they've been trying to do, bringing in the BRICS, trying to wipe them out through their proxies. I don't see that that's happening. If it is, if you know something that I don't know, but intuitively, because I don't really know this, I don't follow it until you've asked the question. But intuitively, what I'm getting is I don't see that would be the case to create a 3 super state, almost like replacing the European Union, but those 3 forming it. I don't see that that's happening. I feel that America's looking to really dominate. Hence, they've changed the name. The Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of the United States, Gulf of America. What they're doing with Cuba, and kind of where China had started to spread their wings through Belt and Road Initiative through different countries. America's come in from a different perspective and is probably starting to gain traction there as well. So I don't see that that's the case, but you may know something that we don't know. But yeah, thanks for asking the question. Okay, from Joanna. Hello, Laura. When will the mainstream media in Quebec, Canada, start to tell the truth to the people? Oh, have I already read this? I think I've already read this. Yeah, I've already done this one. I think I've missed something. Honestly, I'm going to leave it there. It's now 12:24. I think I've gone on long enough. Thank you for listening, if you're still listening. If I've missed your question, I apologize. Please let me know, and I'll see if I can just answer it directly in the chat box there in my YouTube community. Otherwise, I can try answering it at the next Q&A, even if it's a personal Q&A, if it's just 1 or 2 questions. But I think I might try to answer it there in the chat box. But hopefully I've answered everyone's question. Yeah, so it's getting close to 12:30, and I'm going to say good night. Thank you. And until next time, God bless.